From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Andrea Lutz. Big wind gusts will be hitting most of Montana today. Miller Robson has the latest in that coming up in his first forecast. But first, there's new guidelines in the fight against COVID-19 as immunocompromised adults may need a fourth shot. Here's today's leading look. Patients might include active cancer patients, transplant recipients, and those who have HIV. Officials with the CDC say people should really talk to their doctor to determine if one is necessary for them. The NTSB says there's roughly $22 million in damages after a deadly Amtrak train crash on Montana's High Line. The Empire Builder was traveling westbound on September 25th. The locomotive's recorder shows the train traveled up to 75 miles an hour when the emergency brakes were activated. That derailment killed 3 passengers and injured 44 passengers and crew members. The NTSB is still working on their final report. For the first time in decades, bison returned to the Rocky Boy Reservation. The Chippewa Cree tribe released 11 bison during a ceremony. Tribal members worked for years to bring the animals back to their native lands. And a powerful nor'easter dumped at least 4 inches of rain across parts of New England, and it's triggered flash flooding and power outages. Now millions of people from New Jersey to Maine are bracing for day 2 of this with weather-related problems. This storm already brought a path of destruction through the Midwest as well, with tornadoes touching in Illinois and Missouri. That's today's leading look.
Well, you can see that cold front pushing further off to the east. We're still in the wake of that, so we do have cooler air blanketing the area. So highs today mainly in the 40s and 50s. But the big story is going to be the wind. A lot of wind across the region today. In fact, let's take a look at that step by step. We could see gusts in excess of 40, 50, even 60 miles an hour this afternoon. It will taper off west to east as we get into the rest of the afternoon into the evening. But this is where our watches and our warnings are. We've got those high wind warnings, also those wind advisories, even a lake wind advisory up at Fort Peck Lake, where we can see some really strong gusty winds, so small craft could be affected. Now, we're still going to stay breezy through the rest of the week. The question is, are we warming up and do we have any rain? I'll let you know in just a bit.
In the late 19th century and early 20th century, many Native American children in the United States, including Montana, were taken to residential and boarding schools. Well, the impact of that period has affected generations. I spoke with 3 Native American women who speak to me and tell me about stories about how that period has impacted their lives today. Patricia Montana Fleury is half Blackfeet and Little Shell Chippewa. Her parents were taken to the schools.
They'd never talk around us, and I know that is from the trauma boarding school era.
Doris Kicking Woman, a member of the Blackfeet Nation, says the boarding schools work to erase centuries-old traditions.
The worst impact on our tribe was our culture and also our language. It was a total destruction of it.
The parents told the children of the abuse and shame they faced.
A lot of beatings. There was a lot of rape.
The schools removed Native American children from their families and culture. They were taught English, Western traditions, and trade skills. Many were converted to the Catholic faith.
And a lot of there's still effects of a lot of people that think that they're not worthy enough to be involved in our ceremonial ways.
Linda Kensley, a member of the Fort Belknap tribe, told me she felt the impact of the schools growing up after many had closed.
I think the experience of seeing my mother, telling my own children, shame on you, that taught me that I didn't experience that kind of shame.
6 of the 7 reservations in Montana had at least one boarding school at one point in time. Of the 18 Schools that were in Montana were located within reservations. 3 Fort Shaw, St. Peter's near Cascade, Bond's Mission School near Custer were not. I'm reporting in Helena, I'm Phoenix O'Connor, MTN News.